Hello, everyone, and welcome to Consciousness is Sexy. My name is Patty Alfonso. I'm your host, and I'm super excited to chat with all of you guys today. A little bit, I'm buzzing. I'm currently at the new foundation write-up in Houston, Texas. So I'm coming to you live from my hotel room as the class is happening downstairs. And I was asking questions about what to play with today. And some of you may know I've been staying with my sister in Florida, and we had this big hurricane that was coming through this week. And oh my gosh, it was so amazing to watch and to perceive all of the energies. And anyway, I'll get into it. Okay, where do I start? Wow, there is so much. So the hurricane started in the Caribbean, and I was tuning into the energy of the hurricane, and I was like, wow, this is chaos. This is the energy that I've been talking about, like the chaos of nature. And I got a little text here, just making sure it's not anyone with an issue. Anyway, so this hurricane is coming through, and this is the energy of chaos. This is the energy that we've been kind of playing with over the last few weeks. That sort of crazy, amazing, just chaotic creation energy, right? So there was the energy of that I was perceiving. But then if you go on the news and you started watching the news, oh my gosh, the level of order that they were trying to create to stop this chaotic energy that was occurring. And so in being with all of it, I was like, wow, this is like the bastardization of chaos and order. This is how this reality has it totally mixed up about these two energies. So there's the hurricane, and yes, it is creating a lot of quote unquote destruction. And some of us may judge that destruction as wrong, like that there's something wrong with that. But what is right about all of that energy? What is it that energy was creating in the Caribbean and in Florida? What was it clearing? And what was the earth requiring that it needed to create that hurricane to clear all of those energies? I was in Florida, and my sister was going to be going out of town this weekend. And I was obviously coming here to Houston. And as the hurricane progressed and went up into, I'm not exactly sure where it started, but it hit Haiti and then Cuba, and then it went up to the Bahamas, and then it was going to hit Florida. And everybody was freaking out. I mean, freaking out. There were newscasters on the TV saying that this was going to be so catastrophic that people were going to die. There was a newscaster that got on the TV and said, your kids are going to die. And I was just like, what is going on here? What is this? And so I would tune into the hurricane. And when I would tune into the energy of the hurricane, my body would get like really excited and really turned on. And it was so light and it was so expansive. And I was like, wow. And then I would watch the news. And then there was this contraction and this heaviness. And I was just like, okay, this is clearly just a little bit insane, right? And the drama on the news stations that was getting created was really interesting to witness as well. Anyway, so my sister was going out of town, and her friends chose to leave earlier. Obviously hurricane, the airports are going to close, you may lose your lights, all this stuff can happen, right? It is possible. And so her friends decided to leave earlier. And that morning I had a couple of meetings and I was creating some stuff. So I was just all in the energy of my creations and what I was going to do. And I kept tuning into the hurricane. Okay, still light, still expansive. Okay, cool. And then I started asking questions like, okay, do I need to leave early? Am I going to make it to Foundation on Friday? Our flight wasn't leaving until Friday evening. And then, I finish up my meeting and my sister comes into my room and she's like, look, I don't think you're taking this seriously. You don't understand. Like, people die in these hurricanes. And she delivered that point of view with such force, right? And such intensity. And I was like, huh? And she's like, I'm leaving early, and you need to tell me what you're going to do. And you need to tell me before I leave, and I'm leaving at noon, and you need to figure it out, and you're not taking this seriously. And I was like, right? So this is kind of like the story of my life, really, with my family, whereas I'm just like following the energy and asking questions and tuning into like what's going to work. And they're just like in the order of what needed to happen. And so I was like, okay, okay, I hear you. Let me just see some stuff. Let me see. And I did. I called the airline and I asked them, if they had other flights. And they did. They had a flight later that day or the next day. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, well, I could leave, I mean, I don't want to deal with all the insanity of, that gets created when there's hurricanes. And so, and there's this energy in my universe, right? But it wasn't the light, expansive, excitement, bubbly energy that I had been feeling before when I tuned into the hurricane. Now I was like buying into this thing that was getting created of, it's going to be horrible. They were saying it was going to be the most catastrophic thing that they had ever seen. And I was just like, okay. So I kind of did my, I'd been watching Charmed recently. So I was like, oh, well, what if I just like gave the hurricane like a little nudge into the Atlantic so that it won't hit us as bad? Because I tuned into the energy of the hurricane, and it didn't, when I asked questions, it wasn't about the hurricane not coming. Like, it was light for the hurricane to come. It was light for the hurricane to be happening, right? So there wasn't a thing of like, oh, I need to dissipate this hurricane or anything like that. And I'm tuning in on Facebook, and everybody's like, oh, can we change this? And what can we do? And I was like, wow, what if we stopped resisting this energy? What contribution can this chaos energy be to our bodies, to ourselves, to the earth? Like, what is the earth requiring and asking of us in these 10 seconds? What if it wasn't about the trauma drama of, people are going to die, your children are going to die in this hurricane, it's going to be the most horrible thing ever? And I was like, so anyway, I guess my sort of point with all of this is about really being aware of what your reality is with something. And when you're buying into someone else's reality of something, and we all know your point of view creates your reality. You are the creator of your reality. And so if I had truly bought into the point of view that this was going to be catastrophic, that it was going to be, horrible, and all these things that they were saying, I might have made some different choices that weren't as light and expansive as what I knew, right? And so my sister was literally demanding that I tell her what I do before she leaves. And I looked at her and I was like, you know what, Nellie? I said, we handle things really differently. And if you could just trust that I can take care of myself, and then I know I'll be okay, And my sister, she doesn't do access consciousness or anything, so I can't really say to her, like, I'm in the question about what's going on, and I'm going to follow the energy, and I'm going to do what's light. Like, she doesn't really get that kind of language. So I was just like, just trust me. I'm a grown woman. I can take care of myself, and I will figure it out, and I'm going to be okay, And so she calmed down a little bit. But then she wanted me to make sure that I texted her before she landed where she was going. And I was just like, okay. And so, and at the same time, I was still perceiving that energy that she was being, and kind of questioning myself a little bit, like, should I leave? Is this? And I was like, no, this is not light for me, So I was like, look, Nellie, I have meetings, and then I'm going to take you to the airport, and then I'm going to look at what this is and what it is that I need to do. And she was, usually when there's hurricanes, and this is just what happens, people line up at the gas pumps. They want to fill up their gas tank. They want to buy, like, in case the power goes out, they want to buy a lot of water, and they want to have a lot of food supplies. So what they were reporting in the news was that, the gas stations were full, and food was running out and there was no water. And so she was just like, you need to like take care of yourself. And I was like, I got this. I got this. So I ended up calling my friend Rihanna, and I'm like, okay, Rihanna, you got to help me out here. She's like, okay, whose universe are you perceiving? And I was like, oh, not only was I sort of perceiving my sister's universe and her points of views about what's going on, but I was also really aware of the entire state of Florida, South Carolina. Like, they had evacuated South Carolina many, many, many days before the hurricane came anywhere near. I mean, it was still in the Caribbean and they had already evacuated South Carolina. So I became aware that I was uber aware of all of these different realities. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay, so who am I being here? Whose reality am I buying into? And then returning all of that to sender. Now, if you're new to Access Consciousness, then I'll just remind you that we see ourselves as infinite beings with the abilities to perceive, know, be, and receive everything. So I had to really expand out and become aware of how much I was actually aware of. And then, okay, so I'm aware of all of those different realities. And okay, so what's my reality? What do I know about what's going on? And so I'd call my friend Rihanna and she started asking me those questions. And then her and I kind of looked at the energy and she was like, you know, I get we're going to be okay. And I get we don't have to leave. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to take my sister to the airport. And when she leaves, then I can kind of, you know, see what's up for me. Because it would have been easy to leave as well. So I dropped her off at the airport. And I'm driving back home and I perceive the energy and I'm like, okay, so if I leave, what will that create? And it just went clunk. It just got heavy. And I was like, okay, so I'm not going to leave. Okay, so if I stay, what will that create? And the energy just whoosh. And then I tuned into the energy of the hurricane and I was so happy and so excited. And I was like, wow, I really want to be present for this chaotic energy. I really want to receive the contribution that this hurricane is gifting. I really want like all of that chaos energy near my body, near my energy. I just want to be in it. So in that moment, I was like, okay, cool, I'm staying, you know, let's do this. So I went to the store. They totally had everything that I needed. There were no shelves that were empty. There was no, you know, insane lines, none of that. I was in and out of the store really fast. I went to get my nails done, you know, because I guess that's what I do to get ready for a hurricane. And I got a few things and I went home and I worked and I kept tuning into the news here and there and I kept checking in on the energy. Because that's the thing too. It's not like I was like, oh yeah, well, I'm just going to stay and it's going to be okay without asking any questions, without following the energy of what was going to create more. And I just kept checking in. I didn't come to any kind of conclusions about it. I mean, I had the energy of what I perceived the hurricane could create in my universe and what it could contribute. And I just kind of followed that. And so I invited my friend Rihanna over and we had a hurricane watching party and, you know, we had all our snacks and supplies and I got some candles just in case the power went out. And then remember, I think I mentioned yesterday that I was kind of gently nudging Hurricane Matthew into the Atlantic. I wanted to receive the energy, but I didn't want it to come on land and, you know, create whatever. I wanted to get to Houston, to the to the foundation class. So I put a post on Facebook and I invited everyone. I said, hey, what if we sort of created this kind of energy field along the coast of Florida so that Matthew like can get through, but it's not, you know, going to just pummel everything, you know? And so there you go. I mean, miracle, like Hurricane Matthew literally got pushed a little bit into the Atlantic and he came up just off of the coast of Florida. And we got rain, we got wind, the ocean was chaotic and phenomenal and so fun. And right before it, it got really crazy, I went out into the sand, to the beach, and I was just being with the energy that the ocean was being, and being with the sand and the wind, and just really admiring the potency and the chaos of Mother Nature, and really allowing that energy to be a contribution to my body. And I wonder what that sort of receiving will create for me and for my body and for the earth. Anytime we resist something, we actually end up creating it. Excuse me. So if I had gone into like resistance of the hurricane and bought into the insanity of the order that everybody was trying to create around this chaotic energy, then, I mean, I wonder what would that have created? We had so much fun. We've got this apartment right on the beach, so we could see the ocean, we could see the rain and the wind and the trees, and we ran body processes, and we got our bars run, and we just contributed to the energy. And what I get from all of that is there was just something that needed to be cleared from the Caribbean, from that area, in order for, in my point of view, more consciousness to be created and to show up. There was just something that needed a little shaking up. And beyond that, like, I trust the earth. I trust that the earth knows what she requires, and that the earth knows what she needs to do to take care of herself. And in those 10 seconds, it was a hurricane. And if we were truly being aware, would we put ourselves in any danger? I chose to stay. Mind you, it didn't hit as strong as it was supposed to hit, this, devastating, catastrophic. I mean, that wasn't my reality to start with, right? But we choose with awareness. When you're truly willing to be aware of everything, then the universe has your back. You are being taken care of. You are going to be taken care of. And in those 10 seconds, if what was going to create more for the universe and for consciousness was for me to die in that hurricane, then I'm willing for that too. I'm just willing to be or do whatever is required for there to be more consciousness, even if it means dying in a hurricane or in an accident or something like that. But at the same time, I had the awareness that we were going to be okay. Rihanna and I, we looked at it. We asked questions like, no, we're going to be fine. Not only are we going to be fine, but we're totally going to make our flight. We're not going to have to change flights. It's going to be easy peasy. We woke up the next morning. It was sunny. Like, the hurricane came and went. There was no damage to the area where I lived in. It came and went. It was sunny and beautiful. I swear the ocean was a different color the morning that I woke up. It was lighter and crisper and yummier. And we had absolutely no problems getting to the airport. And there was no traffic, no road closures. There was power. We never lost our light. And we zipped through, security, because there was nobody at the airport. And so here I am in Houston. So I kind of wanted to share that with all of you, to sort of put out there, just your point of view creates your reality. And whose reality are you buying into, right? Again, those tools, who does this belong to? Who am I being here? Because when I bought into the like, oh my gosh, maybe I should leave early, which wasn't really a question. That's really kind of a conclusion with a question mark attached. Maybe I should leave early. That's not really a question. I wasn't being me. And when I asked the question, okay, who am I being? Well, I was being my sister. and the anxiety that she was having over the hurricane, and what she needed to do to get herself together so that her plans wouldn't get messed up. And for her, her choice was to leave earlier. And I was like, cool, okay, I'll see you later. So also being an allowance of what everyone else's choices are. There were a lot of people that chose to go to shelters to wade through the hurricane. Okay, cool, that's your choice. How does it get better than that? It wasn't my choice. And it just, yeah, what can I say? So needless to say, Hurricane Matthew was a ton of fun for me and for my friend, and really being present with that energy was such a gift and such a contribution. And the whole thing was a gift and a contribution, like really allowing myself to follow my awareness to, what's light is what is true for you, and what is heavy, what is not true for you. So when I asked the question, okay, what will it be like if I leave? And it was heavy. I was like, okay, it's heavy. That's not true for me. That's not what I desire. And the lightness and the expansiveness of choosing to stay in the apartment and have a hurricane watching party. I mean, look, I'm still smiling. That's what was light and true for me. And what was really cool? Also, when I was talking to my friend Rihanna, because we had our flights together, and we were looking at it, and she was like, for me, it's light to stay. And I was like, okay. And I still was kind of, perceiving all the other energies. And I was like, okay. And she was like, look, but if you need to go early, that's cool, And I was like, yeah, I mean, cool. Okay. So that space of allowance that we had for each other to choose whatever was going to work for each person. Not like, no, you can't stay. You have to come with me. We have to go early because this is going to be horrible. Or you have to make your plans. You have to let me know. No, we were totally just living in 10-second increments. So these 10 seconds, what are we going to choose? Okay, let's check in later and see if the energy has changed. Oh, we checked in, a few hours later. Okay, then what are we going to choose? And always choosing, following the energy, asking questions, and being aware of what is going to work for you beyond anyone else's point of view, beyond anyone else's reality. Whatever it is that they are choosing is what works for them. I was totally cool with my sister leaving early. I really didn't have a problem with that. I was like, okay, cool. How does it get better? So I'm going to check here really quick to see if we have any questions. Refresh my page here. Oh, here we go. Okay, so it doesn't look like we have anything today. No worries. How does it get better? Because I would like to go back to the foundation class and see what else this conversation of chaos and order is going to be bringing up. So for the next week, would you be willing to, and I posted this question in the Facebook group. If you haven't joined the group, Consciousness is Sexy, I would love to have you there. But the question is, would you be willing to, let me look at our closer. Would you be willing to stop living someone else's reality and start creating your own? And anything that doesn't allow you to perceive, know, be, and receive what that is, will you destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Where are you living someone else's reality? What it is that they want for you, what it is that their points of views, what they think that you should be doing. What are the places in your life where you're choosing that? And are you willing to start choosing and creating what works for you and what is your reality? Like, my reality about the hurricane was completely different than most people. A lot of my friends were like, yeah, let's do this. It's going to be so much fun. Yeah, but most of the people were thinking that this was going to be the most catastrophic, devastating, your kids are going to die, people are going to die kind of scenario. And, how potent are you willing to be? that you will outcreate all of those other realities. Because in the area where I lived and where we were all sort of playing with the energies, it wasn't like that at all. It wasn't like that at all. So how potent are you willing to be? And are you willing to outcreate everyone around you and create what you desire? And anything that doesn't allow that, will you destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Awesome. So we don't have any questions at the moment. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please join our Facebook group. And if you'd love to share this with your friend, they can go to consciousness.sexy and get on the list to receive the shows every week. And thank you so much for being here. I will see you next week. Have a good one. Bye.